Hello, everybody, and welcome to an emergency edition of the PHLY Eagles podcast live from the Xfinity mobile studios, presented by Bet365 and Ashley, Bo Wolf, Fran Duffy, EJ Smith. In the middle of Monday Night Football, we have assembled the trade reaction Avengers because Howie Roseman just cannot help himself. He has sent 2 draft picks to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a 2026 fifth that is the Bryce Huff trade result, so could become a 4th and a 2026 6th for Jacksonville Jaguars running back Tank Bigsby, recently named to this year's full sentence All-Stars. EJ Smith, what do you make of the addition of Tank Bigsby? Is Saquon Barkley out for the year?
No, I don't think that Saquon Barkley, I don't think that this trade really speaks to Saquon Barkley. I think that the sense I get is that the Eagles are bullish on their running back room. This wasn't necessarily a reflection of the players that were on the roster, but I do think that this makes me wonder about Will Shipley. Obviously, he left with a ribs injury, and I do wonder how long he might be out with that injury. And if he is out for a while, which again, it seems like he might be out in the short to medium term here, then Tank Bigsby really does factor into the return game as well as being a depth option at running back. Now, he has had a limited sample size when it comes to returns. I think he had 6 last year, and the year before he had 4. So it isn't necessarily like a high workload, but he did average 32.5 yards per return last season. So I think he has some upside as a returner. And I think that's what how the team views him, is as a high upside returner who can also give you some depth at running back if Will Shipley is to miss some time with his ribs injury.
Interesting. So your understanding of the Eagles' messaging, at least, is that this is about Bigsby as a returner?
Yeah, I think that is front of mind. You know, I think the value that he can bring in the return game. Again, we hear so often about how the new kickoff return is a lot more of a running back's game than a wide receiver's game. It's like inside zone. You want somebody who can be a slasher, get their foot in the ground, get upfield. I do think that he has value there. Again, I want to make it clear though, it is a limited sample size. I don't think this isn't like a Cavante Turpin situation where we're talking about somebody who has tons of juice and has proven it with high level production. I think it's a limited sample size. I think it's probably more to do with the scouting of what he could be as a returner more than what he's shown as a returner in the NFL.
That doesn't pass the sniff test for me, that they would trade a
5
pick
and
that
6.
could become a 4th, but it's most likely
and that's a good point. It could become
or
a 4th.
A guy who on spec you think is going to be a good returner. Like I don't buy that. Fran, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say that doesn't pass the sniff test for me either. You know, and that's why, to me, as soon as the trade went down, we're texting. I'm like, all right, like they give up 2 picks. Like that's not nothing, especially to the
back,
now, especially the revelation that it's the Bryce Huff pick, which means that it could be a 4. Yeah, I mean, to me, like I'm wondering, like, okay, like how long is Shipley out for? Is AJ Dillon going to retire tomorrow? Like, it's those kinds of things start going through my mind. I do understand that, look, this is a guy that you've got team control on for 2 years. Will Shipley, while he has had a nice summer, he's a certain kind of change of pace, like backup back. He's not the guy that you want playing downhill between the tackles. And if you like what you've seen with AJ Dillon as your backup change of pace guy behind Saquon Barkley, you might view Tank Bigsby as that kind of guy in 2026 after you move on from AJ Dillon. So, I guess it could be one of those things, honestly, where how he's working the phones. He's talking pass rushers. He's talking corners. You're talking with all these teams about something. And then this conversation kind of comes up as like, hey, you know what? Like, if you guys, while we're on the phone, like, you guys have any interest in Tank Bigsby? Howie says yes,
Right.
and then they try and iron something out. But yeah, a 5 and a 6. That doesn't scream to me like kick returner. That screams to me like somebody that they think can help on offense as well.
Yeah, especially unproven kick returner. Like, I don't really buy it. Now, let's get into the player himself, Fran. You evaluated Tank coming out. You have watched him play. Now, this was an interesting backfield coming into the season with him, Travis Etienne, and the rookie Bashal Tutin. Fantasy wise, people are wondering who's going to get those touches. Etienne had a big day yesterday. Bigsby was solid last season. What kind of player is Tank Bigsby?
Yeah, obviously, look, that offense last year just was not able to really hit on all cylinders. That's why they made the change that they did with their coaching staff. And so you go back and you watch last year, it was a lot of bad football. That offensive line was brutal, and you didn't get a ton of production from Bigsby. You didn't get a ton of production from Etienne. I would say that Bigsby was more impressive on film than ETN. I thought you saw a little bit more volatility from ETN, and you saw a little bit more down-to-down evenness, from Tank Bigsby. Now, when I evaluated him coming out of the 2023 draft, he was my RB3 that year. I had him ahead of guys like Chase Brown, who has become a starter with the Cincinnati Bengals. I thought that he could be a low-end 3-down back, maybe more of a kind of the role that David Montgomery has fallen into in Detroit, where he's like the 1B. I thought that he could be that tier of player, and honestly, I still feel like he could be that tier of player. That's what he had turned into with the Jaguars. And so that's why even them moving on from him is a little bit surprising to me. He's a big back. To me, I actually compared this year, Caleb Johnson was a 3rd-round pick by the Steelers out of Iowa. I compared Caleb Johnson to Tank Bigsby. He's big, he's physical, he's got straight line juice. He was a good mix of zone and gap schemes down at Auburn. He was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year as a freshman, was a lot of accolades, was a guy that had a lot of pedigree coming in, and there was a lot of excitement with him coming out. It just never, after that great freshman year, it just kind of leveled out. You didn't quite see him ascend, and Auburn has been on the downward spiral since then. But this is a guy that picks up hidden yardage at a high level. He runs really hard. He's big and physical. The physicality, honestly, really, really always stood out with him. Anytime I watched him as a sophomore, as a junior, and then even here in the NFL, he returned a kick against the Eagles last year when the Eagles and Jags played. He ran over Nolan Smith on that kick return. You kind of see that physicality consistently show up with him. So I think that he can play the role that you're hoping for with A.J. Dillon. I think that he can come in and return kicks, like E.J. mentioned that the team is saying behind the scenes. So I think he can certainly provide those roles. I thought he was a guy that had a 3-down presence. I like the move. I like the trade. Now, again, 2 day 3 picks is not nothing. So that's is still surprising to me.
Yeah, we're not talking, and we're not talking 2 7ths.
Right.
I don't want to pearl clutch over a 5th and a 6th. The Eagles have a lot of picks, but usually when they would make this kind of deal, you would expect a pick to come back. So it does tell you that this is the bar is for day 3 picks, but this is a relatively significant investment for them. They have real expectations for him. I remember watching him coming out, and it was one of those guys where I loved watching him.
Yeah.
He had some of that, a little bit of, like you said, the hidden yardage, a lot of make the first guy miss wiggle room for a big guy. But the profile, it was one where my eyes did not agree with my head, because I think his the yards per carry were a little bit lower than his teammates, which was a minor red flag. But listen, the other question here, EJ, is if the Eagles care so much about depth running back, let's say that I feel like the most likely situation here is that Will Shipley is going on IR. I think that is a realistic possibility here. Do you think that the Eagles caring this much about backup running back is an indication that they are not concerned, but they want to be able to manage Saquon Barkley's workload to an extent?
Well, I think the A.J. Dillon signing kind of alluded to that to a certain extent as well, trying to get somebody who can do some of the short yardage dirty work. So, no, I definitely think that is a good read of it. It's they want to make sure they have that rotation. We even saw in the opener, there was that stretch where Will Shipley was in the game. Looked like Saquon was ready to get back in the game, but almost let Will Shipley have a couple more snaps out there. So I do think that managing his workload is going to be important. And I think having someone with the theoretical upside of Tank Bigsby, I'm with you guys. I really enjoyed watching him coming out for the draft. So I think that, at the very least, there is some theoretical upside with him as a running back, as well as, again, as a team is sort of, again, my understanding of it being that he has some return upside. I'm with you guys. I don't know. I think it seems like there's more to it than that. But yeah, I do think that is also a factor as well.
There you go. Saquon's apparently on the Manning cast, somebody says in the chat right now. Maybe they'll ask him about Tank Bigsby. Maybe Saquon's there to announce his retirement, or that he's running for office. I don't know. I was glad. I do think that we can say, if you had told me yesterday that there's a tank coming to Philadelphia, I'm glad that this is the result of that happening and not a different timeline.
Give it time. It's only 9:10 p.m.
Yeah. All right. I feel like we've really.
No, we've got one more thing to discuss here.
Yeah.
The A.J. Dillon fullback conspiracy.
Yeah, it was brought up in the chat. So
I want to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Why would I think it's possible that A.J. Dillon could move to fullback. I don't know why that would necessitate trading a 5th and a 6th round pick to get a different 3rd running back.
to me, it's just like, Fran, you tell me what you think here, but like, you can probably find a better fullback than AJ Dillon being a fullback for the first time.
Right. Yeah. You
Like,
wouldn't
Kari
you wouldn't
Blasingame
trade a
is just
fifth
out
and a
there.
sixth.
Yeah.
And move AJ Dillon there. You would just sign a fullback from a practice squad.
Yeah.
The tinge of annoyance that you will hear in my voice if they were to decide that, hey, we're going to get into a run heavy look and really play smash mouth football, and they decide that they're going to put AJ Dillon as an I back as opposed to Fred Johnson on the field as a sixth offensive lineman, it would just really just that would really grind my gears. So yeah, that would surprise me at this point. I think they're more likely to lean heavier into like the Kylan Granson type of looks, but even then, like I just don't think that that's a needle mover in the run game either. But yeah, we'll see. I guess crazier things have happened.
Now, Fred, you do have to tell the story of what happened as you were getting ready to put Francis to bed. Yeah. The news of this broke. Tell us how that all played out.
So the news breaks. We're on a group text. And we're saying, all right, let's do the emergency pod. I said, all right, I'm doing bedtime with Francis. So, we'll see what time we finish up. So I told him, I was like, hey, the Eagles just made a trade. Like, finish brushing your teeth and we'll talk about it. So he brushed his teeth, he comes to bed, and he said, all right, like, who did they trade for? So I told him it's running back. He's a backup to Saquon Barkley. His name's Tank Bigsby. And he sits and he like internalizes it for a second. He's like, all right, grab the film. It was a very, very, very proud moment. So we watched through probably like 25 clips, 25 highlights of Tank Bigsby. And then he gave his thoughts before he went to bed. So I
sent the video to the text thread.
Yes.
My son's watching. He's saying hi to Francis. Good time. It's great.
That was his second or third breakdown he's done on video. So he did Jahad Campbell, and it's like hell because now he like watches and he's like, oh yeah, there's Jahad Campbell. So he enjoys that.
That's good. All right, listen, we've given you 12 minutes of Tank Bigsby analysis. You're not going to get anywhere else. What can you do for us? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you really want to go above and beyond, you can join the supporters club for PHLY. Which means that you get access to exclusive emojis and exclusive content behind the scenes, true sicko level stuff if you want to do that. And also just evangelize about the show. Go tell your friends. Tell them about
Bo's mic or Bo's new camera. I mean, come on. Like, that's what we should do. We should threaten them. Finally, if you don't like and subscribe, then Bo's going to go back to the old camera. And then we won't be able to see his nostrils flare in 4K.
You're fly away on us. Calm down.
All right. Good stuff, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2:00 unless the Eagles make another trade, which I think is not impossible. So, Julia, I'm sorry, but Howie Roseman just runs our lives. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. And congratulations to Kirk, who has joined the supporters club. Probably has access to the doing guys emoji right now. What's better than that? All right. For Fran and Francis and EJ and Julia, I'm Bowie. Thank you for watching and listening. Let us know what you think about the move in the comments. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 2:00. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.